Prince Harry has been warned he risks seeing his greatest fear become reality if his book becomes the main course of a score-settling feast. If Prince Harry decided to use his announced memoir for settling score with the royal family, he would likely lose more supporters, according to royal expert Roya. The journalist recalled her last interview with the Duke of Sussex, during which she said he appeared to be aware of his sell-by date. The Sunday Times royal editor wrote in the publication, "When I last sat down with Prince Harry for an honest, candid, funny and frank interview, he told me he would use his privileged position for good stuff for as long as I can. Or until I become boring, or until Prince George ends up becoming more interesting." Harry, then 31 and one of the most popular royals, seemed aware of his sell-by date. She reported him saying, "There's nothing worse than going through a period in your life where you're making a massive difference and then suddenly, you drop off. You want to make a difference but no one's listening to you." Prince Harry, according to one of his friends reported by Ms. Nika, has been in a rush over the past decade to make an impact in the world before slipping down the pecking order, which comes with the risk of being overshadowed by younger royals taking the center stage. However, Ms. Nika believes Prince Harry's memoir could also have the same result slipping down the pecking order has in the royal family. She wrote, "Harry has done brilliant things in his time. Moving the dial on mental health, serving his country at war and launching the Invictus Games are just a few of his achievements. Nobody should begrudge him wanting to bang the drum there. And if he wants to bare his soul on how he has coped with undeniable adversity and tragedy in his life, fair enough. But if his book becomes the main course of a score-settling feast, then he will lose many more hearts and his greatest fear will be realized. No one is listening." Prince Harry announced on Monday he is working on a memoir described in a statement as the definitive account of the experiences, adventures, losses, and life lessons that have helped shape him. This book will cover his life from his childhood to his decade in the army, from his work as a royal to becoming a father. Speaking about it, Harry said, "I'm writing this not as the prince I was born but as the man I have become. I've worn many hats over the years, both literally and figuratively, and my hope is that in telling my story, the highs and lows, the mistakes, the lessons learned, I can help show that no matter where we come from, we have more in common than we think. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to share what I've learned over the course of my life so far, and excited for people to read a first-hand account of my life that's accurate and wholly truthful. This memoir, to be released on the year of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, will be published by Penguin Random House, the same publisher of Meghan's children's book The Bench. While it is not known whether the Duke of Sussex will speak about his struggles as a member of the royal family and his decision to step down in his upcoming book, he has done so on a few other occasions earlier this year. In February, the Duke first explained during an interview why he moved to the US and quit as a working royal. Speaking to his friend and TV host James Corden, Harry said he never walked away from his duties but, rather, he stepped back from them. He added he needed to get his family out of there due to the impact intense media pressure and public scrutiny was having on his mental health. A few weeks later, Harry was joined by Meghan in an interview with Oprah Winfrey, during which the couple launched damaging allegations of neglect and racism against the firm. Harry also discussed his relationship with Prince Charles and Prince William. After 2 months, during the podcast Armchair Expert, the Duke spoke again about his life within palace walls and how he was struggling to accept his royal job in his early 20s. And in the mental health TV series he co-created with Ms. Winfrey, The Me You Can't See, the Duke explained more in depth the long-term impact the death of Princess Diana had on him, while also claiming the royal family did not encourage him to speak about his mental health struggles. Harry continued his media and publicity drive this week after revealing he was writing a memoir. Set to be published in 2022, the year of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, he said the book would be penned not as the prince I was born, but as the man I have become. Its exact contents are as of yet unclear, but it is thought that he will cover his childhood in the public eye, his military duty in Afghanistan and his journey to becoming a husband to Meghan Markle and father to Archie and Lilibet. Some royal commentators have suggested special attention will be paid to his mother, Princess Diana's death. Russell Myers, the Daily Mirror's royal editor, claimed that no member of the firm will come out from the book unscathed. He said that while Harry may address his own misgivings and failures, He will undoubtedly cast further shame on his family given the contents of his recent broadcast interviews. Speaking to the podcast Pod Save the Queen, hosted by Ian Gripper, he said maybe this is the opportunity for him to have some contrition in his actions. If that is the case, I imagine that he will be largely applauded for those efforts. However, nobody's going to come off unscathed here. Maybe this is some sort of therapy for Harry, he feels he can unburden himself. But nobody in the royal family is going to come off unscathed. And I think that will tell you why there is such a degree of nervousness about this book. He went on to note how Meghan and Harry, on leaving the family last year, promised to uphold the values of Her Majesty the Queen. Mr. Myers continued, so, is this in keeping with upholding the values? On the one hand you could say he's being true to himself and using it as a form of therapy, he's doing it for charity, it's altruistic. But, on the other hand, is trashing your family, maybe this won't happen, but this is what is currently happening. The deal for his memoirs agreed with Penguin Random House is thought to be worth £14 million. Penguin described the book as intimate and heartfelt. They continued, Prince Harry will share, for the very first time, the definitive account of the experiences, adventures, losses and life lessons that have helped shape him. Covering his lifetime in the public eye from childhood to the present day, including his dedication to service, the military duty that twice took him to the front lines of Afghanistan, and the joy he has found in being a husband and father. Prince Harry will offer an honest and captivating personal portrait. One that shows readers that behind everything they think they know lies an inspiring, courageous, and uplifting human story. Harry said he was deeply grateful for getting the chance to tell his story. He added that he was excited for people to read a first-hand account of my life that's accurate and wholly truthful. If his broadcast interviews are anything to go by, the book promises to be full of claims and revelations. The most controversial appearance came when he and Meghan sat down with U.S. talk show host and close friend Oprah Winfrey. Here they aimed several allegations at the royal family, including racism and failure to help Meghan's struggles with mental health. Then, not a week after Prince Philip's funeral, Harry spoke on the podcast Armchair Expert, where he claimed that Charles' upbringing by the Queen and Philip had negatively tainted his own childhood, describing what had been passed on to him as genetic pain and suffering. Later that week, he appeared in the first episode of his and Ms. Winfrey's new series, The Me You Can't See, confessing his battle with mental health and being in a constant fight or flight mode because of royal life. The Queen could have a more insulting plan for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry instead of removing their titles for cashing in on the royal family in the US, a royal expert has claimed. Since stepping down as senior royals, Meghan and Harry can no longer carry out royal engagements and also lost their military and royal patronages. They also can't use the word royal in their branding while they carve out a new brand for themselves in the US. However, the couple still have their Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles, with Harry still keeping his Prince title too. Despite this, they have sparked outrage among royal fans for still making money off the royal name by repeatedly bashing the monarchy in their recent interviews, prompting calls for the Queen to remove their remaining titles. But royal expert Ingrid Seward believes Her Majesty would rather ignore them than give them more ammunition to criticize the monarchy. She told Express, I don't think removing the titles would make much difference, and it would look very petty. I also don't think it is something the Queen would want to do at this stage of her reign. It would be far more insulting just to ignore them. Even excluding them from the Jubilee next year gives them ammunition to criticize the monarchy. Back in January, the Queen stripped Meghan and Harry of their HRH titles after they officially cut ties with the monarchy. This means Harry no longer holds his military titles including the Royal Marines, RAF Honington, Royal Navy Small Ships and Diving. He is also no longer the patron of England Rugby. Meghan also lost her patronages with the Royal National Theatre and the Association of Commonwealth Universities. In a statement, Buckingham Palace said at the time, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have confirmed to Her Majesty the Queen that they will not be returning as working members of the royal family. Following conversations with the Duke, the Queen has written confirming that in stepping away from the work of the royal family it is not possible to continue with the responsibilities and duties that come with a life of public service. The honorary military appointments and royal patronages held by the Duke and Duchess will therefore be returned to Her Majesty, before being redistributed among working members of the royal family. While all are saddened by their decision, the Duke and Duchess remain much loved members of the family. A spokesperson for the couple said, as evidenced by their work over the past year. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex remain committed to their duty and service to the UK and around the world, and have offered their continued support to the organizations they have represented regardless of official role. We can all live a life of service. Service is universal. Meghan and Harry also spoke about the royal titles during their bombshell interview with Oprah in March. Meghan said Archie was not given a royal title, which meant he would no longer receive taxpayer-funded security. She also suggested the decision may have been due to the color of his skin. Buckingham Palace later responded, "Recollections may vary." Meghan said, "They didn't want him to be a prince or princess, not knowing what the gender would be, which would be different from protocol," and said that he wasn't going to receive security. "In those months when I was pregnant, we have in tandem the conversation of, you won't be given security. Not gonna be given a title, and also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born." Meghan also said in the interview she did not care about all the grandeur surrounding this stuff. She added, "The most important title he'll ever have is mom." Royal commentator Duncan Larkham questioned why Prince Harry was choosing to come out with a memoir book. While speaking on GB News with Mark Dolan, Mr. Larkham warned this could spoil Prince Harry's place in the royal family. He also questioned why the Duke always appeared to look so sad, despite getting what he wanted in a new life. Mr. Dolan questioned why Prince Harry was coming out to attack the royal family now. He said, "Who do we blame for this? You are going to speculate about whether there is influence from his wife. You have profiled Prince Harry in your book in huge detail. What has happened to the guy? Has he changed? Do you recognize this individual? This man who seems so angry, not just with his family but with his country?" Mr. Larkham answered, "No, I don't recognize him, and I don't think members of his family. Certainly his old friends don't recognize him either. That isn't necessarily a bad thing. We knew Harry, we loved Harry because he wore his heart on his sleeve, he was down to earth and he didn't take himself too seriously. Well, things have changed, and maybe that is the influence of a new wife, or maybe it is Harry just having the freedom to be himself. What I can tell you is, for a guy who has gone to find a new world away from the unbearable binds of the royal family, I just wish he would tell his face. He just seems so depressed, Mark." Mr. Larkham also considered what possible motives Prince Harry could have for this memoir book. He said, "If this is part of some master plan to find happiness, I am not sure he is going to find that. If this is a master plan to build their royal brand, I think this book is going to be the longest resignation letter in history, as it will mean Prince Harry's place within the royal family will disappear forever."